Axons Unleashed.
G'day everyone, my name's Robbie Turner. Welcome to another episode of Axons Unleashed. I got my main man here next to me, Lukey Millwood. Mate, how are you?
Hey, it's great to be back as always, RT.
Now, we've had some bloody cracking guests on this podcast, and I don't want to devalue anyone else that's been here, but no one else has sat across the other side here, which has got nearly 4 years service to Axon under their belt.
Yeah, mate. This guy's like the quiet Clydesdale of the office, mate. He just gets shit done. I can't wait for this.
He's the rock of Axon. He's been around for a long, long time. He's someone I go to for great sage advice. You've always got my back, as I have yours. We've known each other for a long time. Yep. Damian, Damo, Gregson, welcome to Axons Unleashed, mate.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this. I've heard all the other ones, so it's time to go.
Yeah, it is go time.
Yeah.
It is go time. Mate, I'm really looking forward for you sharing your story about where it is you grew up, why did you join the military. You know, you and your brother and other members of your family have had a great sort of military history.
Yep.
How you separated, and I know what you're doing now.
As you said, I've been here for a little while.
Yeah, but it'll be a really good understanding about how your initially found transition, because I know you didn't come straight to Axon, of course. So you're one of the rare birds that don't come directly from the military. You've got a bit more context and experience there, and I'm really looking forward to you sharing that with everyone. And then we can delve down a little bit into what you do now and how much value you provide people.
Cool.
Looking forward to it?
Yeah, let's go.
Righto. Mate, who are you? Where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Western Sydney, a town called Quakers Hill. So I spent my whole life there. Didn't leave there until I joined the army.
Actually, you just reminded me on something. When you first met my wife, the better part of 4 years ago, she goes, "Where'd you grow up?" You go, "Oh, Western Sydney." "Oh, where's that?" "Quakers Hill." "Oh shit, I'm from King Langley."
Yep,
and then she went to school.
Yeah, with my ex-wife.
Yeah, there you go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And then we stopped talking about that.
But it's funny because it was only like 5 minutes down the road that we grew up from each other. Never ran into each other, but had a few mutual friends along the way as well.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
I went to the RSL there at Quakers Hill once. That was my first
That'd be the pub.
Anzac Day. The Quakers Hill Inn.
Quakers Inn, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, it's Anzac Day. Better put my bloody suit and medals on." And Tam's brother's like, "Do not wear a suit to the Quakers Hill Inn.
No.
You'll get fucking filled in before you take 2 steps."
Get into your shorts, put your shirt on. Yeah.
But mate, what was your childhood like?
So, yeah, growing up there, had a very big family. So there's, on my mum's side, they were all in the same sort of area as well. Had 18 cousins. So our weekends were spent, going to someone's house, having a barbie, playing cricket out the front, playing soccer out the front. Played soccer for Quakers Hill, same as my uncles. Had a very long family history in the club as well.
Yeah.
I was playing sport as much as I could. So,
Yeah, because you're not the normal army guy who's played Aussie rules or rugby or whatever else. You're a soccer and baseball sort of guy. They're your two sports.
Yeah, so soccer since I was 4. So, every Saturday over winter heading down the park. And then, picked up baseball along the way as well as a teenager. So throw a few seasons of cricket in there as well, a couple of Aussie rules seasons.
Mate, did you have time for school, or were you just kicking a ball and throwing shit?
Well, started off, I really liked school. Then as I got a bit older, I'm like, let's just do sport as much as we can, including all your subjects at school, all rotated around sport.
Yeah, goals. Because, mate, you're a bloody burly bloke. Like most people, we go to some client meetups, they're like, "Oh, shit, how you going, Damo?" And I'm like, you're looking up to the ceiling. So were you always one of the taller blokes in your class?
Not really. I had 3 really close mates that were all taller than me. So I'm 6'4", and they were 6'6", 6'7". So I've been at school, used to looking up at me mates.
Right.
Leave school, I'm like,
where are they all?
Looking down on everyone. I am tall.
You are tall.
Talk to us about your education, like your younger education and stuff, mate. Did you find, school and stuff quite easy? Noting that you've said you've focused on sport and stuff, with the academia side of the house, how did you find that?
Yeah, so probably split into 2 kind of careers of school.
Yeah.
Primary school, did really well, very academic, picked up things really well. Got to high school, found out about sport, I can do PE and I can do, another subject for sport.
And girls, no doubt.
Yeah, and but that just became my focus, was just playing sport. If I could get out of any lessons to play sport, I'd do that. So I'd be throw volleyball in the mix as well.
Yeah.
Whatever I could play for the school, I'd be out of school, out of lessons, playing sport, and that was reflected in my Year 12 grade as well.
But you did year 12. You know how to spell. You know how to write. You know how to do your maths. So you're not an idiot. You didn't leave school at the end of year 8 per se.
Yeah.
I'm not calling everyone that left school an idiot after year 8, but you are a smart fella. So you obviously had the capacity to excel at the sport and then just sort of float through doing the mandatory school stuff as well.
Yeah, it wasn't it something that I found really hard, like all your subjects, but just didn't really apply myself.
Didn't spark you, didn't light your fire.
Yeah. So trying to teach my kids now that are 16 or 13 going through high school, trying to get them to focus, knowing that I didn't.
Touche.
Hear that, kids? When Dad's like, I need you to focus. You're like, well, you fucking didn't.
And you're doing all right, Dad.
That's right. Yeah.
Tell us about when did the spark come about joining the military? Because you and I know your older brother.
Yes, we both do. I've known him my whole life.
Oh, I heard a bloody joke once. It's like one fella said to the other, "So you were your brother that got killed in the war." I can't remember.
Yeah, well, it wasn't me. Either of us. But no, so sort of when I left school, had a bunch of jobs, and again was just totally focused on playing sport. So whatever my job was so that I could go to the pub, but also to fund me playing sport pretty much all week.
What were those jobs, mate? Like, run us through that. Were you very hands-on? Was it kind of very physical labour kind of stuff, or did you go into retail, or what was that like?
So you didn't join straight after school, 17 years, 12, boom, straight in like I did, and you pretty much, so a lot of other our guests as well.
Yeah.
But you had how many years as an adult?
I joined when I was 25, so like...
Oh, shit. Yeah. There's always something I learn about someone, and that is you.
Yeah. So as you said, Luke, like very physical jobs to start off with, as reflected with my Year 12 score. Like there was no uni or anything like that. But builder's labourer, did that for a bit, worked in warehouses, factories.
Yep.
Went and was a lifesaver at the pools for a while. So I was pretty much trying to do any job that I thought was easy.
Yep.
So I could just live my life
and
on
play
weekends.
sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So pool lifeguard during the summer, then find a job in a warehouse or whatever in the winter, back to the pools in the summer. I did that for a few seasons. And then what else did I do? Throw in some debt collection in there.
Righto.
Mate,
Imagine that. 6'4" is like, oi, fuckface, you own some money. Here you go.
Yeah. We started off like just on the phone, like chasing people up for overdue car loans. Doing that for a while. Did that for a couple of years. And then with a mate of mine as well, we started our own little company, like process serving, so serving summonses and...
Kneecaps Inc.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the paperwork side.
G'day. How you going?
Yeah.
We're here to bloody get the debt.
Pretty much. Or if not, here's your court summons. So,
yeah, right. Okay.
And a little bit of dead ground counselling to go with it.
No. It was all around.
All aboard.
Some dodgy areas in Sydney. So it was more like, are you Luke? Yep, there's your paperwork. See you later.
See you later. Yeah.
What else did I do? And then from there, went and delivered cigarettes. Did that for maybe a couple of years.
Fuck me, when is this going to end?
Well, this is the last step before like, what sort of drove me to join the army.
No, well, you've probably listed 15 different jobs that you've had. Like, I don't remember even meeting someone who's did like 15 different things before they joined the military. Yeah. It's very diverse.
Yep. So when delivering smokes, I drove on a van around Sydney, dropping off big bundles of smokes
in the durry bus.
Yeah, pretty much. At all the tobacconists, and then while doing that, got held up at gunpoint.
Excellent.
Yeah. Got abducted for an hour.
Holy
driving around Sydney, like transferred into another car. They emptied out the van, sort of drive me around. I'm like, from having the gun pointed at me to under a blanket in the back of the car, like lying down, driving around Sydney for an hour.
Was it a random attack or?
It had been happening to a few of the drivers.
Right.
So they knew. Like
the cigarette smoke truck driver. That's what they were after.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, while you're here.
Yeah, there's about $250,000 worth of smokes back then. So, early 2000s. That was a fair chunk of money. And
was that kind of the decision point where you thought, if someone's going to point a fucking gun at me, I want to get paid a lot more and I want a lot more stability out of it?
I want the opportunity of pointing it back.
Yeah. Give me one too.
Yeah, that was kind of like the tipping point, I guess.
Yeah.
Because there was a few years before that where I had thought about joining as an ADGI, actually. So I'm talking about probably
Sorry to hear that.
3 or 4 years beforehand. Like, just always had it in my mind. Like, the Defence Force was always an option. As you said right at the start, like, rich family history of, you know, people in the Army or Air Force and Navy as well. Go back to my nan's uncle was back, like, he landed at Gallipoli.
Yeah.
Right, wow.
Got shot
That's
in the
cool.
head, died 6 days later in Egypt.
Shit.
Yeah, wow.
Skip a generation. So my granddad was in the Army. He did, he went to Africa, went to New Guinea, did that, and then skipped to Vietnam. Had my dad was in the Navy. His brother was in the Army. On mum's side, had another uncle in the Army, another uncle in the Navy. And
Holy shit.
yeah, and then, well, Jace, my older brother, he joined the Army straight out of school.
I was going to get to that bit, but we come back to that in a second.
Yeah. And also my cousin, he
Right.
is in the Navy, so he did a couple of trips as well.
Mate, you were always going to join the military.
It was always an option. Like, I knew I could fall back on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My goal, probably leaving school, was I wanted to be a firefighter. That was always my end goal. So I applied a few times, didn't get in, and then I'm like, oh, Army, firefighter, let's go.
From what I understand, being a civvy firefighter, it's a pretty tough gig to get into, right? The selection criteria and the vacancies available, it's pretty selective, and from perhaps you need to know somebody in that sort of space to be able to open a door for you. Is that right, mate? From your understanding?
It's definitely hard to get into. I tried 3 times, and you know, it was a bit too selective for me, I guess.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's what made me keep jumping around all the other jobs. So half of me was always aimed at being a fiery, and then the stick up happened, and I'm like, oh, Army, fiery, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear. I know how close you and Jace are, and he would have already been in the military when you were like 15, 16.
No, so he's 7 years older than me.
Right,
So
so
from when I
that's
was
that's
10 or
definitely the
11.
case. So as you were
Yeah.
getting to the end of your school, was he not like tapping you on the shoulder? I know he wasn't. He was obviously off doing his thing,
Yeah.
in the Royal Australian Corps of Signals. And was he not like, all right, Damo, you're getting 15 now? Was he not sort of
No, he didn't really. He just-
encouraging you to join straight out of school like he did?
No, I knew all about like his journey and his like every posting that he went to and what
Yeah.
he was in, as much as he could say, you
Yeah.
know, what he was up to. But he never really put pressure on me. Just sort of let me run my own race. I guess he could see that I was more focused on sport as well.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, no pressure at all.
So it obviously happened. Did you go down to Defence Force recruiting at Parramatta?
Yep, down at
That was a guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a home ground for me as well, because I worked in Parramatta for a while, so I knew exactly where the office was.
Great footy team, by the way.
No comment. No.
That's an inside joke, ladies and gentlemen, between Damo and I.
Yeah, and growing up out there, plenty of mates go for Para as
Of
well.
course.
But myself, being a South supporter,
Yeah.
we've had the rub of the green for the last few years.
How did that happen?
Well, I was actually born in Redfern as well,
Oh, right, there you go.
and my grandmother was a South supporter, dad's a South supporter, so I was kind of like,
Got influenced from a young age.
yeah, but the rest of the family Dragon supporters. Like, no, I'm going the Rabbits.
Yeah, there you go.
And I stuck with it. It's been a good choice.
So tell us about your first kind of experience. Like, were there butterflies in the belly when you were rocking up? Like, obviously, you know, you've signed on. You've got a rich family history, so you've got a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
You know, you can't fuck this up. You've got, you know, your whole family's looking at you being the new guy on the pitch.
Yeah, so it felt kind of comfortable, like going into Para. Like, it was an area I knew. Did all the signing up, swearing, jumping on the bus. From there, we had to go into the Sydney airport. Again, familiar with that. Like, cool, no worries. Chatting away on the bus, meeting all the new guys. Finally, get down to Kabuka, get off the bus, or when the first guy jumps on the bus.
So what year are we talking now?
2004.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it must have been the sergeant or something. Jumps on the bus, big fella, bald head,
Boom.
just a big unit. Starts yelling at us. We're like, oh, this is a little bit different to, you know, being on the bus and stopping at Macca's on the way down and, hey, you guys come over here, we'll do this, we'll do that. Get back on at 5 minutes, but get down there and it's just like, boom, let's
We're
go.
on.
This is
So-
go time.
Yeah.
Did that hit you and like literally like, holy shit, this is A grade now?
Yeah, that's
This
what
guy's for real. He's
Yeah.
giving us a pasting.
It's like, flip the switch. This is, you know, totally different to what I'd experienced like ever before. So even
But even with your family history, like, Did you see what were the looks on the other people's faces in the buses who maybe have had no one in the military join?
I don't know. I was just looking at the scary dude walking down the aisle.
Just tearing starfishes out of the seat.
Yeah, but you could have heard a bin drop, except for him.
Yeah,
yelling and whatever he yells, and then getting out, emptying out your bags, and there's guys pulling out knives and baseball bats and like, what are you doing here?
Did you whisper him to him going, mate, I didn't know you're from Quakers Hill.
Brass knuckles.
No, but straight away I'm like, sweet, they can have the heat. I'll just sit back. That was probably the bit of advice that Jace gave me. He goes, try not to stick out. Just get in the background, do as you're told. Yes sir, no sir.
What did you think of Kapuka when you first got there?
Yeah. Well,
rolling hills of Wagga?
Yeah.
Were you there in the summer, winter, or otherwise?
Winter. It was July.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Frosty mornings.
I think it was the coldest ever winter in Wagga.
I didn't have to say that.
But not as cold as winter in Canberra, though, mate.
Well, I reckon it was.
That same winter went through Wagga first as it went from the west to the east.
So stand fast. It was the same winter, mate, 2004.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I can't remember it being that cold. Must have been different in Canberra. But just getting in there.
What were you like at drill, weapons? Let's just sort of focus on that bit. How did you all, did you play Cowboys and Indians when you were, or was this sport?
Not really, just sport.
Yeah. Were you pretty handy with your weapon handling skills?
Never touched a weapon, never seen a weapon before, so that took a bit of learning.
Did you used to practice your salutes and everything in the mirror before you joined? Like none of that stuff, or you were still pretty green?
Yeah, the only thing I was probably any good at was running.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So that was a good base. I knew how to swim as well. So that there was guys falling to the bottom of the pool during those PT sessions. So that was like an easier part for me. But when it comes to drill, straight away they're like, "You're right, marker."
Of course.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
And I
stand here, mate.
I imagine that having such an athletic background like sports, a range of sports and stuff like that, you would have been pretty physically fit. And and as we've spoken about in other podcasts, that, if nothing else, is the first advantage that you can have going into any kind of, ab initio training, is taking that target off your back by being physically fit and coordinated.
Yeah, wasn't first, wasn't last.
Yeah,
I was
exactly,
in the middle,
exactly.
where I was happy to be.
What about when you did go down the range and doing some shooting?
Yeah, I enjoyed it, like learning how the weapon works. Wasn't a terrible shot, which surprised me. I thought I'm going to be, pretty ordinary at this. But, it turned out to be not too bad. Again, middle of the pack.
Yeah, good.
Focus on your breathing.
Yeah, and I guess it comes back to the training part as well. Like, if you've trained for any other sport, like you get critiqued on that. Hey, change this, do that, shift your body this way, and same thing with the weapon. It was just the instructors telling me what to do. I'm like, okay, I'll do that.
Did you see some other people really struggling down there?
Yeah, and that's what sort of I guess you judge yourself along the way, how you are comparing to the rest of your class, and you'd see that and like, okay, well, I'm not doing too bad.
Yeah.
So
and Luke and I spoke to Ryan about the instructors would have loved the opportunity that he was a bit of an older fella. Did you feel he got on? You're able to relate to the instructors a little bit more, because there would have been other 24, 25-year-old corporals down there. Yeah. As opposed to being a 17, 18-year-old guy or girl. So did you feel like you were being not treated differently, but did they rely on you to give them a bit of insights about what was happening to the rest of the young guys and girls in the platoon? Yeah,
I suppose. And, there was only one other guy that was older than me, and he was a firer as well, so we paired up pretty early on. But, yeah, they would sort of treat us differently, as you would expect to a young guy that hasn't experienced the world at all. I'm going in there 5 or 6 years older than them. Yep. So they're like, okay, pull these guys into line. Yep. This is how you do it. Show a bit of teamwork, show a bit of leadership.
It's also a bit more composure too from yourselves. Or, I speak from being working with older guys and girls going through ab initio training and stuff. There's also that level of composure that they tend to display, and so that kind of makes it a lot easier to relate to somebody and communicate with them in that environment, and to be able to feed that back into the rest of the trainees.
Was there one element of basic training you did find challenging?
I think it was all a challenge whenever you experience something brand new. Yeah. The first time, like touching a weapon, doing drill, waking up at whatever time with your sheets on your shoulder, having to make your bed. I'm like, man, I made it yesterday. Getting out the hallway. Yeah. But, I think it was all a challenge, just as long as you can pick it up as you go.
What about obs course,
Yep, that was a bit of fun.
Yep.
I think our section won that
Good.
challenge, which was, just a teamwork thing. Like we had a pretty good crew eventually. Like it was, I think when we started off, the whole lines, like every room was full, and like my room was right down the back.
Which platoon were you in?
15 platoon.
Bravo Company, stand fast.
Yeah. Which is actually the same platoon that Jace was in when he went through.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So when I started, the
Was
lines
his
were
photo
full.
up on the wall?
Yep.
Sure. Yep.
Yep. And I ended up, when you get there and the whole lines are full, every room. As we're going along, there's people dropping off left and right. So shuffling rooms all the time. And I ended up in the same bed space that Jace was in.
Oh, that's
back
cool.
in 1990, I think he went in.
Right.
So,
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I remember the first night was a bit of a shock as well. Like get there and finally get to relax a bit, like in your bed, but your mind's still racing.
Staring at the roof. What the fuck have I done?
And I remember this guy that was in the bed, like just on the other side of the petition, gets up, walks out, like comes back in, reeking of smoke. He's jumped out.
Gone out and punched and Durry.
Yeah, and this is like, early morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning or something like that. Just jumps out, has a smoke. And he was doing it all the time. I'm like, fuck, he's got some balls.
Big brass set on him.
How did he keep that?
Well, he didn't. I woke up one morning and his bed space is empty. He was there when we went to bed. Woke up in the morning and he's gone.
Just gave it the
Gone.
Yeah, didn't see him again.
It's true.
Adios, amigo.
Yeah. But yeah.
What about eating ration packs and like living in the field and like, did you like that cam cream on, cam up, switch on, face out sort of tactical environment?
Yeah, I did enjoy it. Like the food was never an issue. Just eat whatever I could. Empty out the ration pack.
And sometimes what I couldn't.
No, there was no sneaking food in. But I enjoyed being outfield. Like did a lot of camping as a kid. So not that it's camping, but you know how to go and sit on the ground and not be too precious about what you're walking through and how far you got to walk. So.
Yeah. Was there a moment as you were going through training or perhaps after where it kind of, that really hit you where you were going, fuck, I am in the Defence Force. Like this is real. I'm no longer a civilian. I'm no longer, considered that soft body civilian. I'm now a hard body, military member.
A veteran of a couple of weeks. No, I suppose as you get towards the end, and you work through the different tabs that you wear, like for each different level that you go through, and probably, with a week or two to go, as you start practicing your march out and, getting ready to move on to your next lot of training. I think that's when it really hit me and like, okay, well, I've still got a bunch of training to go.
Yep.
So as a firer, you've got to do driver's course, combat engineer course, and then the firer's course. So it's almost another year's worth of training. So I knew it was the first step, but probably the most important step. And probably hit me right towards the end of that.
Yeah. If Jai wanted to go to Kapuka, what advice would you pass on to him?
I'd totally encourage it.
Yeah, good. Yeah. I have no doubt about that. But what about that's the dynamics of going down there? But like, all right, this is what it's going to be like, son. I need you to do this, this, and this. Or you sort of reflect upon what Jay said to you back in the day.
Yeah,
pretty much.
And he's a pretty similar kind of character to me, so he would find it easy to slip into that grey man kind of position. And even though he'll be right marker as well, he's pretty tall. Although he wouldn't like it, he's got long shoulder length hair at the moment. That's where I missed out when I joined. I still had a nice long rat's tail down the back.
Oh, exquisite.
No.
Yeah.
There's bloody Quakers Hill. I knew, mate. There was something about you.
Shaved my head before we went as well. So
did you?
Yeah.
So the rat's tail stood out even more.
No, shaved that off.
Oh, right. Yeah. I thought you had a bloody a Brussels sprout and a rat's tail.
No. I might have had that before.
I got that from you, by the way.
But yeah, that was just another thing so that it didn't stick out.
Yep.
Just, already going in looking like you should be there.
I'm here. Let's rock and roll.
I'd probably take a bit of pleasure in shaving Jai's head, I think.
So did you go to driver's course down in Pucker first, or did you go straight to SME?
We went straight to SME because there was no driver's courses on at that time.
Okay.
I think we just missed it by a week or something, so they...
Sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
All good.
So
did you put in a holding platoon or something at SME then? Or did they start doing some of the training with you?
Yeah, so straight into the engineers course and then still no driver's course available, so we went and did a bit of OJT with the fiery troop in Holsworthy.
Yeah, great.
So got to experience what it was like. And
was SME still out the back there at Moorbank then?
Yeah, it was.
Yep, along Moorbank Avenue.
Yeah, it was nice, just on the back of the river.
Yep.
I really enjoyed my time there. It was good because I could go home on the weekend as well.
Engineers have got a reputation for drinking piss.
Oh,
Yep,
Yep.
yes, they do.
confirmed. But that was.
Did you love that barracks life? Like you're not in training anymore. You're in training, but you're not in training. Come 4 o'clock, knock off. You want to go to the boozer, crack on. Like it's a good. I remember that feeling. It's just you're starting to just get a little bit of freedom, but you're still in that training mindset. Did you have that same?
Yeah, like getting off the bus at the door of SME, and we're like, hey, we need to go to this building, whatever the building number was. And our mate at the fence is like, yep, it's over there, mate. Like, okay. So we're just 4 of us walking in, like dragging our trunks along, and sort of moved into our rooms, got all that sorted, and then they're like, all right, see you Monday.
What?
What do you mean? I've got free time.
The training wheels are off, boys. Yeah.
All right, let's, so I ducked home for the weekend, and it was, a bit of a shock. Like, of course, like looking back, you go, there's nothing else to do. Why wouldn't you have a bit of free time? But when you've come from, getting up at this time, going to bed at this time, doing this, like minute by minute, it was I guess a bit of a welcome shock.
I was going not a welcome change, a welcome shock.
Yeah. And then
back to reality though.
Yeah,
it wouldn't have taken you long to slip back into a good routine though.
No, that's right. Like I think we didn't have very long in between getting there and then the course starting, so maybe a week or two in the holding platoon. So just doing PT every morning and then odd jobs around the base, whatever needed to be done. Yeah. But then,
is that something you're looking forward to as a fiery, having to do the combat engineers course?
I saw it more as
lay the foundation for you.
Yeah, well, just because it's part of the engineer course, so it's that's your base trade. And
what were some of the key competencies that you learned during that course?
Well, I found the construction stuff easy because I'd already sort of worked on building sites for a couple of years worth of just labouring, doing every trade that we needed to do. So that was good. Kind of rounded that out. I found that part reasonably easy.
That's why you're such a handyman around here. Like you are, just the amount of things you've fixed in this office over the last nearly 4 years has been countless.
Yeah, I've swung a hammer a little bit.
Yeah. And I know you like doing it too, and it's very much appreciated on our end because me and flat packs, let alone fucking hanging something on the wall, do not go.
Yeah, no, I do enjoy it. What else? I think doing the demolition stuff, that was a really good...
Blowing shit up.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That was fun and eye-opening. I think that's probably the highlight out of it all. But I also saw it as just a stepping stone to the next one as well.
Yeah. What was the gender balance like, mate? Like noting it was a combat corps that you were going into at that point in time. Was it all stag? Was it all male at that point, or did you have females on your course and stuff as well?
Yeah, I think it was. We only had a couple of females like at Kapuka, so I was used to the fully male environment pretty much. And then engineer course was all males.
Yep.
Yeah, and same again for the fireys course.
Which was not uncommon. So just for the context of the audience, around that time period going into combat corps, it was very common for it to be male-only sort of intakes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the course was like 50 or 60 blokes. It was massive.
Yeah. And did you have a good camaraderie amongst the team? Like, was it a good bunch of blokes that you went through? Do you stay in contact with them, with some of those guys now? Like, what's that dynamic like?
Not really keeping contact with anyone. I saw... As you do, you float in and out, different postings, you run into them, like, I remember you from back then.
Yep.
But, it was a good group of people that we went through the course with. Had some fun.
Yep.
Playing a bit of sport in there as well, which is always good. But, we had I think quite a chunk of them ended up over at IRR.
Yep.
As it was back in the day before SOA.
Yeah, tell us. So when you finish your IETs and you've even got your driver's course under your belt, where was your first proper unit?
At Holsworthy. So
right.
As part of Incident Response Regiment, or the Emergency Response Squadron. So it's kind of divided into engineers and fireys down in Sydney. And then, we did some pretty cool stuff as a fiery. Like we weren't engineers at all at that time. Did some urban search and rescue. So it was not long after, or it was a few years after the Threadbow disaster. Mm-hmm. So, the country realised that we needed some sort of skills to go along with recovering people out of collapsed buildings and all that type of stuff. So I really enjoyed that training. That's probably the highlight of my training as a fiery was doing that training with Melbourne Fire Brigade.
Yeah, awesome.
Spent a month down there just being a fiery for real.
Hanging off shit and moving shit and jumping
Yeah.
in stuff. Yeah, that
And
sounds
You're
awesome.
not scared of
Digging
heights or
through
anything?
stuff. No, I did
No.
plenty of rope stuff. Still nervous, like
Yeah.
going over the edge of something. but-
Confined spaces? Good.
Yep, fine with confined spaces, like
Yeah, nice.
crawling through, bit hard for me to squeeze through some spaces. It was like, teams change, get the little fella down here. But,
Back out, Damo.
yeah, and that's what it was like.
Did you find it a reasonably exciting time to be at Holsworthy? Because we're talking, 2005, 2006 now.
Yep.
Afghan Rotation 1 had just kicked off.
Yeah.
I was on a plane going over there, but like that whole ramp-up focus of what was going on with the first sort of eventual series of SOTG trips, a lot of money being poured in the Holsworthy, redevelopment of that whole barracks and everything. So IRR started to really kick into gear then, didn't it?
Yeah, and like we saw some of the engineer side. I think they went on one of the early trips as well, and that was before the fireys and engineers kind of combined to boost up like support to tag and starting to get into those rotations as well. And that's
Yep.
when we kind of fell back into engineer
Mode.
Yeah.
Mate, did you notice a shift in the demeanour or in the focus of the base as a whole when that when those SOTG trips started sort of rolling down? Did you notice that people started having a laser-like focus towards righto? This is go time now. We're not in training. We're not rehearsing. This is fucking real life, and we're going down range. Did you notice a shift in the sort of mentality of the base, mentality of the units, and the capabilities?
Yeah, because before then, the only real sort of live training that I did was the live agent training in Canada.
Yeah.
And that was, if you've got to go on that trip, we're like, sweet, go over there and work hard for a bit and, get a trip to Canada as well.
Yeah.
And it's gone from that to, as I said, like
We're going
game
in.
faces on.
Yeah.
Like there's some pretty serious stuff going on and
Yeah.
we need to be involved in that and support the units that we support.
Yeah, lots of other agencies starting to come in, some more capabilities coming in, some
Yep.
some US guys coming in to do some joint training as well. So yeah, it was a good time to be around then, wasn't it?
It was, and that kind of was a shift in focus for me. Once the manning of the unit was sorted out, and the guys that wanted to be fireys had to go up to the northern units up in Townsville and Darwin. And those that wanted to stay could stay in Sydney and be part of the more engineer focused stuff. So as far as we always got chucked in the decon side of things for the domestic stuff, and then once the trips to Afghanistan started, coming thick and fast, like rotation after rotation, we slid in there as well, and that's when I got to focus on the biometric side of things. So
Yeah, it's a good little segue because as everyone knows, after I did my first rotation, I went down and met this young man down at Duntroon for a couple of years, and then at the end of that, bang, I was across there again. So I went across to Kandahar as the plans officer for SOTG in very late 2008, early 2009, and that's when you and I met.
That's right. Early 2009. I think might have been end of January for me when I turned up there, and I think probably one of the first blokes I met.
Yeah.
Out comes Robbie. He's like, "Are you Jace's brother?" Like, which was a common theme that I got like everywhere I went. Didn't matter if I was on course, if I was in Holsworthy where Jace had been posted for a few years beforehand. It's always like you could just see him looking at you like, "Is that Jace?" No.
He's a tall
little
guy,
bit different.
dark hair, Gregson.
Yeah.
Fucking same name. Looks like him. He must be his brother.
Yeah. So
How was meeting him being the first bloke, mate? What is that tidal wave of charisma?
As I say, good friends stab you in the front. So, mate, go your hardest.
yeah, no, it was exactly like that. Like anyone else that's met Robbie since then, it's just like there's that the personality hits you first.
Yep.
And then, but we got on really well. Like
Yeah.
he was, I was not on the same base as Robbie. I was on a different part of Kandahar, like with the US Special Forces. I was embedded with them in their biometrics and forensics lab. So we'd have to sort of drive down the road to go and visit Robbie for the meetings every night and all that type of stuff. But we
Barbecues and whatever else.
yeah,
Yep.
had our own little ping pong table in there as well, which is again straight into another sport. Like let me play everyone in that.
He beam out the back, buddy. Bench press comps, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's why I stuck more to the ping pong than all that. I was not built like some other people.
But it was really good. I tell lots of people like you were, part of that US Special Forces group, and that human biometrics and bomb residue stuff was really good for one of our trusted, Aussie cam wearing persons to come back and then inject that stuff back into our targeting cycle straight away. As some other higher level capability started to come online as well. So what you were doing over there was really, really helping.
Yeah,
because that's when it really first kicked off, wasn't it? That human biometric and bomb residue analysis, that's some deeper level targeting stuff.
Yeah, I think the capability kind of started up in maybe 2008. So I was the second or third rotation of guys in. But yeah, learning how it plugged into everything, like into the targeting place, like we were just a bit of the jigsaw that, you know, sometimes was what, you know, the extra bit that was needed, and then you could see how it would feed into the intelligence cycle and then the targeting and then the, you know, the results that we'd see off that. And I really enjoyed being part of that and seeing that capability grow as well. Like it's heaps of training.
Was that the first time, mate, that you kind of stepped into that strat space? Like, whilst I know it's still a targeting cycle and I know it's still tactical action that may be taken off that, obviously, like you've just indicated, you know, you're talking about being a part of the jigsaw puzzle and you're that small piece that makes up, you know, a critical part. Was that the first time that you'd stepped into that strat space? And what was kind of something that resonated strongly with you or something that was really surprising about working in that space? Was it just how many capabilities there are that sort of tying together? You know, what was that like, mate?
Yeah, just getting to know what the other bits of the jigsaw were.
Yeah.
Like I always had a vague understanding of what else was out there, but then getting to see how it all plugged together and then, just the results that the guys out there on the ground achieved, and then were able to keep sort of feeding the beast, for want of a better term, and just see how it all rolls. It's amazing.
Sorry, mate. It's very easy for us. You know, you reflect back on it now, and it's easy to forget just how much synchronization and how much effort goes towards, you know, bringing a capability to bear and all of those inputs that go to that. It's really, really easy to forget, you know, the levels of professionalism that are required to do that.
Especially when you're working with super high end capabilities of another country and a whole coalition force, which then needs to be fused and approved and then implemented at that highest level before it trickles back down again.
Yeah, so maintaining the relationships with the guys that I was working with, or side by side, day to day, the American guys, and then making sure that we could help them and they could help us, and you know, it was a bit of a tiptoe sometimes, like making sure that you're keeping everyone happy. Yeah, because it's pretty easy to get things switched off.
nothing a tray of bloody Tim Tams couldn't fix though.
Well, got to thank my suppliers back home. Every time we got a box, it was like 6 or 7 boxes of Tim Tam in there, and the Americans just loved it. And that opened many, many doors.
Awesome.
The currency of Afghanistan.
It was.
Among other things, but we'll keep them on the down low. Kind of the Beresham report's still out at the moment.
The book's still open. Shush.
Yeah.
But there we go, good answer. Did you do any other trips, or was that your? Yep, go for it.
So did about 6 months in 2009, and that was good. I think might have been even after you left. That Jace, my brother, was deployed over there as well. So he
came over for the recce, and we saw him over there, which is good.
But he got a full gig as well. So we got to spend a bit of time, which was pretty unique. Sort of hanging out in Afghanistan with my brother. Both in the army was a
highlight that you can look back on.
Like it's probably not until you look back on it when you realise how special it is. So finished off 2009.
It's a long way from the same bed space in bloody Bravo in 15 platoon.
That's right. It was a nice addition to the career for sure.
Not many people would have that on their resume, mate, to say that they've been overseas on ops with their family members. So it's pretty special.
What was the trip after that then?
2011. So had a little bit of time back home, going through the rest and recovery cycle and everything, and then back in 2011 where the capability had grown even more, and that time got to head up the capability as well. So
that's still based out of Kandahar?
Yep, same spot. I even had same bed space again, which was awesome.
There you go.
But that was a pretty good setup as well, because I had access to Skype back then to call home whenever I wanted, which was vitally important, because one thing I missed out on in 2009 was the birth of my son. So I didn't get home until 3 months after he was born. So that was a nice, like, we knew it was going to happen. It wasn't a surprise, but to go through it and then to walk out of the airport and and pick him up for the first time was,
that's cool.
you know, it was a big year of firsts for sure. But 2011 was totally different. You know, everything's much more established, probably a lot busier over there.
Different types of targeting, more short notice, time sensitive, dynamic targeting stuff.
Yeah, and then I was trying to develop or continue to develop the capability. So I was meeting with lots of other countries, and they're similar sort of capabilities that we had, but each one was sort of more heavily focused on other things as well. So being able to go and meet someone brand new, different country, you know, strike up that rapport, get to know them, and then, you know, we can help them, they can help us as well. So that was a really enjoyable part of my second trip.
So was that second trip, was that, as RT was just saying, was that a much higher tempo? So, you know, I'm not saying that the first one wasn't a high tempo, because, ladies and gents, they're all fucking high tempo.
Just evolution.
But a lot higher tempo in terms of, you know, your requirements, your opportunities.
We have more assets. We have more targeting capabilities. Like I was there as the opposite then, so we're just able to be more nimble and just reach out and touch people and things.
Yeah, and the boys on the ground were much busier, from my memory, which resulted in more stuff coming our way to pull apart and find the biometrics in the IEDs and you know, whatever else they sent us. Yeah,
it was good, mate. Like they had other bits of handheld technology that they could implement on target, and then come back, take out the SD card, for want of a better word, upload it to you straight away, and you've got instant access to it. So it really, like, technology was our best friend. So use of assets and technology, and just overall confidence in the capabilities helped the whole targeting cycle a lot.
Yeah, it was. What's the right word for it? I was going to say more rewarding, but I don't know. I think probably had more impact.
Yeah, okay.
Is how I felt from 2011. Just as you said, based on the improvements in everything in theatre.
So that's kind of two rotations in 3 years.
Yep.
When you come back from that second rotation, did you slip back into life seamlessly? Like, did you take a break? You know, what did that look like for you?
So it was around the same time of the year. I think deployed around January, February, so back in the middle of winter.
Yep.
Kind of just chilled out for the rest of the year, and then that was the end of my deployments. Yep. And they'd also made the decision in the unit. So by then, like, we'd transitioned over to SOA, the Special Operations Engineer Regiment, and like, I wanted to stay there as long as I could, because I was having so much fun in the job, and, you know, getting rewarded, like, for your contribution.
Yep.
Like, excellent. I just love that part of it. But they're like, if you're going to stay a fiery, you got to leave.
We need to broaden your horizon there.
Yeah, but I was lucky enough to get an extra year at SOA, so I was one of the last fireys to leave. Got to run the Rio cycle next year, so they'd started implementing that. So the new guys coming into the unit, putting them through all their training. That took the best part of 6 months. Such a wide range of skills that they needed to know on top of their, you know, combat engineering skills. So it was good to see people wanting to start to come to the unit, and then, like, seeing it as not quite a selection as far as Commandos SAS or anything, but sort of trying to get something kind of similar where people wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Because they knew the job.
Yeah, it's gold, mate.
Yeah, so did that for another year, and then by then it was, sorry, mate, it's time to go.
The schema rep had to come down and drag you out by the year.
We need to broaden your profile. That's what I meant to say.
Or you can go back to being a sapper and start again and be an engineer.
Yeah,
so,
right. And you went,
no,
mate, that's fucking not happening. So where'd you go? Up here to Amberley?
Went up to Amberley to the fiery school, which is good because, you know, as you guys have said before, you don't really know something until you have to teach it. Yep. So for me, it was kind of like relearning it so that I could teach it, because I'd been away from the fiery stuff for, you know, a good 5 years, I guess.
For very good bloody reason, though.
Yeah, and totally by choice.
Yep.
So it was good to get back in, teaching the new recruits coming through, the Army and Air Force as a joint school, putting them through their paces in the basic courses and promotion courses as well.
And you've been promoted at this stage as well?
Yep. So went up there as a corporal, got promoted to sergeant, maybe 2015 or so, before I got out in 16.
Let's start to talk about a bit of transition then. What was that little tap on the shoulder look like? How'd that all transpire? Well, because you had a few different things occurring in your life then anyway.
Yeah, so I was, I I'd done my 3 years. It was a 3-year posting. They're like, okay, we'll extend you for a 4th. I'm like, cool. Like, I'm happy with that. I really enjoyed the instructional side of it, seeing how, the trainees develop from the start of the course to the end of the course, like the amount of skills they pick up was very rewarding. So put through, because each course went for almost 6 months. So we did 2 courses a year, as well as a few promotion courses thrown in for, corporal promotion courses.
And anyone who's been at an instructional role, the organisation gets plenty of pound out of your hide, doesn't it?
Yeah. But
you put long hours. It takes a lot of effort when you're in an instructional role.
Yeah, but once you sort of hit your straps, it becomes really enjoyable as well.
Yeah.
So from there, they wanted to send me up to Darwin. The sergeant that was up in Darwin was going to get sent to the school. I'm like, well, we both don't want to go there. Can we stay where we are? And they're like, nah, you're going. So
what a blessing.
Yeah. So as soon as like that was confirmed, I'm like, nah, we're not going to Darwin. Like as a family unit, we're getting out.
Yep.
So
did he ended up staying, or did the Defence Force lose 2 people when they did?
He stayed. He came down to the school.
Oh, there you go.
Mm.
Did his time down there.
Okay, fair enough. So that would have been even more disappointing.
Only a 50% failure rate, mate.
Yeah.
Not 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was something that I'd considered anyway. Like I kind of, being such a small trade, it was pretty small at the top as far as availability of positions, and being the newer sergeant, I knew there was no real career progression because the warrant officers were entrenched. There was, short of something bad happening, there wasn't going to be an opening anytime soon. So like, it's time.
How many years you got under your belt now?
Just
at that time?
At that time, 11, 12.
Yeah, mate, what a great career.
Yeah, considering I thought I'd probably only stay for 4 or 5.
Sure.
And then get out and join the Civvy Fireys.
Bloody awesome.
Didn't happen.
Yeah.
So from there, started looking for a job, speaking to my mates that I grew up with, and one of them goes, I reckon I got a job for you. I'm like, cool, what is it? And it was as a compliance manager for a building firm, I suppose they are a building firm, that did maintenance on housing commission houses in northern New South Wales.
I was going to say, that wasn't back at Western Sydney though.
No.
So now you moved to somewhere northern New South Wales. Just remind me, what was the pull to go there?
Just a job.
Right.
A job to get out of the army.
Sure.
To land into something instead of getting out and, hey, what am I going to do? Let me just apply for everything. I wanted to make sure that I had the next lily pad to jump onto. Yeah. So it was only once I had that confirmed that I put the discharge in, got out very quickly, like in under 2 months. Just, I've got a job, I need to start now.
So that's what I was going to ask about your transition process, mate. You just went, cut it off, noting that you've got 12 years under your belt, so you got long service leave in your back pocket. Mm-hmm. You didn't sort of do the plan of dragging that long service leave out, half pay, getting yourself settled somewhere, or did you just cut it and ran?
No,
not run.
Yeah, still did the long service leave, half pay.
Okay.
So got it sort of double pay for a little while.
Yep.
Until we established ourselves in Port Macquarie. Working in a totally new industry in an area that had no military presence at all was a quite a shock. Like they still had an Anzac Day march through the city, but there'd be maybe 5 other.
You out the front.
Right marker.
Right marker. Dress yourself.
Being a place that's pretty popular with retirees, there's plenty of old people that were marching. Yeah. But as far as contemporary veterans, there was.
This is the Afghan war campaign.
Yeah.
you and four others. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So that was something I had to get used to really quickly.
Yeah.
Like you kind of almost lose the identity a bit, like when you come out as a sergeant and you're just a mister.
Yeah.
Not just a mister, but you're back into the real world. It's something that took a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah.
But the job and learning something totally new, like just took all my focus and sort of helped me through that part as well. So I think that was pretty good. It was still a relatively soft landing, like working with my mate that got me the job was one of my best mates, and then another one of my best mates jumped on working for the same company as well. So to have them, nearby whenever I needed to talk to anyone was pretty handy.
Bit of support, bit of camaraderie shooting the shit with someone, not military background, but I guess that was all part of you letting go of the shackles, really.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the shackles were cut pretty quick. But yeah, still had that support very close by, which I think was pretty handy.
Isn't that such a strange feeling, gents, when you get out and you're separated from defence? And, you know, I know that in my transition, which is only recently, by the way, but in my transition, I kind of had the perspective of every single time I was stood on the mat by someone and given my orders, it didn't matter in terms of, you know, discipline and that sort of. Oh, sorry, it doesn't matter now. Is that, and that, you know, applying that across your career and experience, like we're all very decorated and done some great things, and we can take some of those good things with us. But, you know, all of that discipline, all of that sort of drive, you know, all of that reprimanding that came with a military career, you know, like whilst it was important at the time, and it puts you in a place of discipline and a place of, you know, outcomes that are required for mission focus and that sort of stuff. But once you separate, that's gone.
Yeah. But I'd been the civvy beforehand as well.
Yeah, true.
So as that
true.
stuff was happening to me during my army career, like I also had the bit of real life or real world perspective on it as well. So when I was getting in trouble for something, I'd just go, yeah.
I wish I had that, mate, because there were plenty of experiences where I could have put that into practice.
Yeah. Yeah, so they kind of, you know, come full circle and back into the real world.
When did you first discover Axon?
Well, I think probably when it first started. I first started following it.
Yeah.
Obviously kept in touch with you through social media over the years. Saw that you'd started up, you know, Axon, which was pretty cool. I'm like, oh, you know, from afar, I'm like, good on you, mate. Like,
Yeah, thanks.
go and have a crack.
Yeah.
And
have a crack I am doing.
I think we even had a chat very early on. We did
we had a coaching session.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I'd already had an investment property in my life, and that was, looking back, a pretty poor performing thing.
Yep.
But
Let's be clear, investment property up in Townsville.
Yep.
Didn't do its thing. What was written on the box didn't happen.
No. It was the...
I didn't find it for you, by the way, just in case you're wondering, ladies and gents. It was in the year BA before Axon.
That's right. It was after a couple of deployments and a pocket full of cash. Like that was a decision back in 2012. But yeah, had the really early on coaching session with Robbie. Wasn't in a position, or we weren't in a position to move on anything. It was more just a bit of a compass check, so I could have a different opinion compared to, you know, the guy that I got the house through.
Yep.
So following since the early days.
Yep. And then what did you see? Can you remind me? What was the trigger for you to go, hey, I see you, I hear you, I know you,
Yeah.
I want to be. I almost said I want to be in you, but I didn't. I want to be part of
Mate,
you.
I knew you were going there.
I want to be part of you.
I wanted to see the end of that sentence. No, we.
Daniel was like, that was rubbish. Anyway, I don't even know if it's going to make the final cut. Anyway, we'll see how we go.
Spending a couple of years down at the new job that I found. Went through a marriage breakdown. Kids moved up to the Gold Coast, like with my blessing as well. So I knew that I had to move up to the Gold Coast as soon as I found a job. And same thing I think you advertised on Facebook, like, hey, we're looking for someone to join the team. Here's the description. I'm like, I reckon I could do, 2/3 of that.
6'4", brown hair, brown eyes.
Yeah, most of the way there. But
what year was this? We started in 2017. Must have been mid-18, was it? Not
mid-19.
Mid-19, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I was coming up to the.
Was it
the
mid-19 you started? So maybe early 19 we put that out there?
March, April.
Something like that? Yep.
I was coming up to the Gold Coast every second weekend anyway to see the kids. Saw the ad. So I'm like, okay, put my resume together. And then I'm, in my mind, tossing it internal, like, do I just reach out to Robbie and go, hey, mate, I need a job?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'll do it the right way. So I sent the application off to Tammy and, with the resume on there.
Biometrics, was that one of your skills?
I can't even remember what was on there. But then I'm about to send the email, like, I've got to say that I know Robbie. So I'm like, I'll put that in the first line. So I'm like, okay, straight away, did that. But tried to do it the official way. Then get a phone call from Robbie. He's like, what are you doing, mate? You should have just called me.
It's your professionalism coming through,
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely.
true to a T to this day.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yes, I think the next time I came up, we caught up at the office in Coomera.
I got off that phone call and I said to Tamara, I've found the next person who's going to join us. She's like, who is this guy? I said, I know him from back in Afghanistan. I know he might not have like heaps of like technical experience in our particular field, but I'm like, just fucking trust me, love.
Yep.
He's fucking joining our team. She's like, well, I'll be the you know the judge of that. I'm like, of course you will. But when he comes up and you'll meet him, then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I think we did a few video calls in the car, like over the couple of weeks, and then come up and spent probably a couple of hours talking about the job, and I think it was probably then you're like, yep, let's go.
We're in it.
I need you to start now.
Yesterday.
So I'm like,
That's a familiar tale, mate.
but I think I must have given maybe a month's notice because I didn't want to leave the company that I was with in the lurch either.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, I need to train someone to come into that. Got to organise a move, up the coast. So yeah, I think when all was said and done, probably a month in between before I moved up.
Yeah. And mate, it was something that Tamara and I were really proud of, is that we provided that vehicle or that vessel for you to be able to then spend more time with your kids.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you were doing the Hume Highway bloody dash.
Yeah, which was, and I've said to you before, I'm forever grateful that you guys have been able to provide that for me. So it's definitely not lost on me.
Yeah,
and
that's great.
There was a vehicle in there as well.
Yes. That's right. He's like, I don't have a car. I'm like, here, have mine.
Yeah, that was a good thing
yeah.
about the previous job. I'm like, sweet, company car. And then once you leave, you don't
Sweet,
get to take
Robbie's
it.
car.
Like, I've got to go and get a new car. It's, so sort of re-established everything up here, sort of build a house again as far as, furnishing a house.
Yeah.
Getting to see the kids a heap more,
Yep.
which is what it was always all about.
Yep.
So
Got a new partner, settled down, got it all sorted.
Yep.
Her kids, your kids all get on, little
It's a
blended
full
little
house.
family. Yep, stuff.
Because
Good on you,
Rachel's got
mate.
a couple as well. So
Yeah.
when we've got them all, it's a house of seven.
The Brady bunch,
Yeah.
mate.
It is.
So tell us, you're one of the property specialists here at Axon.
Yep.
What's the thing you find most challenging about your role?
It's challenging, I think, because it's such a fluid environment. Like 1 week is not like the next. Sure, it's I've been here for nearly 4 years, so I've seen quite a few changes along the way, from struggling to get blocks of land to starting to see that free up a little bit more. But then it's rising interest rates, it's lower borrowing capacities. It's we want to find that property that fits someone perfectly, and there's a lot of variables that go into that. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge is what suits you doesn't suit you.
Yeah.
My observation of what I thought you were going to say, which maybe it wasn't a challenge because you handled it so very well anyway, was about this time last year when we the business and our clients were just getting whacked almost every other week with a price rise from the builder or the developer.
Yes.
And then you had probably 20, 30 calls that you had to make and Zoom calls about not convincing and not trying to get the buyer of the property to do anything that they're not fully comfortable with, but just speaking through the mechanics and just, breaking it all down and just being fully transparent with them. So,
That was a challenge. Maybe I'd block that from the memory.
I'm sorry to bring it up.
Can I say that was pretty early on for me coming into the business as well. And
Oh, yeah, so
that
you were observing that.
Yeah, that was a fucking stellar example.
That probably would have been one of your first experiences
It
of
was.
this great man.
It was my very early on when I was working, or sorry, not working. I was hanging out with the property specialists, and so it was one of my first experiences in the business, and in fact in the business world. And so to see that, there were a couple of things that I took out of that. One was the level of professionalism that you guys take towards, and how much you care towards taking information to our clients, taking care of our clients through their journey. But the other piece was seeing the level of impact that you can have just by having an honest conversation with, that whether that news is good, whether that news is tough, whether that news is challenging for our clients, just being there to have that challenging conversation with them, and knowing that you're going through that journey with them. Like, I saw the value in that, and so that's something that I've absolutely carried with me, and I'll continue to carry with me through my time here.
Yeah.
It's the best when we're not in a sales environment. We're literally here delivering information and then allowing people to make their own decision. It just, you don't need to be anything other than genuine and authentic. Is that the part you love most about the job? You can just be yourself?
Yeah, and the feeling of trust that you get from the clients.
Yeah.
Like speaking to such a wide range of people, like from all different backgrounds and different careers and different ages and, unique, things going on in their own life that all need to be part of it. Just being able to speak to them and sort of teach them along the way.
Yep.
But ultimately, just the trust they show in us, knowing that we've got their back. And that's the thing that is most rewarding, And for me, the thing that drives me is I don't want people to experience what I experience with my property. Like dropping $100,000 in value.
Yeah.
And rent's going down by $100 a week.
Yep.
And
That's something that we, the three of us, share that our clients don't have to, is we share that pit in our stomach. We've made that mistake, so our clients don't have to make that mistake.
Yeah, and for that to be the first investment property for me, like that's just set me back so far.
Yeah.
So if I see someone come along, I'm like, I don't want this to happen to you. So let's do everything we can to not.
Yeah.
What are you looking forward to in the next 10 years? Because you are not going by your own admission, you're never leaving, and I'm not letting you leave.
Correct.
Dug in like an Alabama tick.
Approved. Just the continuing changes. Like we're at an interesting point in the property cycle.
Yeah.
And we're just in the room before watching a market update, seeing how things have come from all nice and easy and rosy and everything to the lending environment has changed so much, which just has such an impact on the rest of the industry as well. It's again more challenges.
Yeah.
But that's what I enjoy.
It's one thing that I know that you're enjoying, Luke, and Damo, you've seen for a few years now. It's not a boring role.
Not at
It's
all.
dynamic. It does change.
Yep.
Every single client interaction is very unique and very special in its own amazing way.
Yep.
And do you feel like are you on a bit of a high, like when you jump off a call and you're doing a property presentation or the research or the process of risk, or someone's just got their finance approved, like another one came in overnight? Like, do you feel that high on behalf of the client as well?
I do, and as soon as you speak to them, and you can just see, you can hear in their voice their smile, like they're just. We know that, or I know that I'm making such a big difference in their life.
Yep.
That they'll be able to look back, years down the track and like, thank God I, reached out to Axon as a whole and got the advice and got the right sort of property, not just one that, hey, we wanted to sell a property somewhere just for the sake of selling a property.
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Yeah.
When you take a look like that, mate, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Nah, that's it.
And I know you're being a great leader and a great mentor and a great sort of source of inspiration now to your growing family. So, I know that they're very proud of you as a dad and as a an Axon sort of team member as well, mate. So we're stoked that you're here, dude. You are my rock. You're my person I come to. I know you and I have got each other's back to the end of time, mate. So
exactly.
Thanks very much for being here, Lukey. Good, another good episode.
Always,
ladies and gents. That brings us to another close of an episode of Axon Unleashed. Damian, Damo, Gregson, what a bloody great man you are. You are the pillar of strength, and the things you've done in your career and what you've now been able to transition into an initial soft landing, but now you're just on a fucking bed of pillows and you're never leaving.
Yep.
Can't wait to have you here for another 10 years.
Me too. But before we go, there was one thing that I promised Brielle, my oldest daughter.
Good.
She's like, when I told her that, hey, I'm going to be on a podcast, she's like, oh, that's pretty cool. She goes, but I want to hear a dad joke.
Oh, please.
Of course.
I love your dad jokes. Mate, you should have told us at the start. We could have had a few.
Yeah, so I'd be in trouble if I didn't drop at least one.
Please.
So what's the least spoken language in the world?
Send it.
Sign language.
Ladies,
Thanks,
you.
brother.
Good night.
Thanks very much for being here, mate. Have a great day. Good on you, mate. See you all next time.